I feel like Taylor is actually not a bad fit to be on Southern Hospitality. I know we're doing Southern Charm right now, but just to tie it in real
I think
quick.
it would make more sense. And we had this question, I think, pop up the first episode of Southern Charm, where we knew that Gaston lived with TJ.
Oh, that's right. That's the
So
connection. I
yeah, that's the
forgot.
connection. Oh, you forgot. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get that confirmed until Soho.
Well, we got TJ, and again, we are doing Southern Charm. Do not get it twisted. But her interactions with TJ, I was like, she's infinitely more natural and comfortable in this setting than I've seen her on Southern Charm.
Yeah, it's almost like she can trust these people and she can't trust the others.
Maybe a swap?
Swap.
Who would you swap?
Leva.
That's a cop out. That's a bullshit answer.
I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Shoots Magoots. I don't get to do my Scottish accent because we're not doing traders. We're doing Southern Charm.
This is slowly turning into a show where I just look forward to seeing Craig's backyard and fantasizing about my own backyard looking like that someday.
I fantasize about my backyard looking like that frequently. As you know, I moved into a hellish landscape because my previous homeowners didn't live here for 2 years, so my
What's
backyard.
with like the Pennsylvania landscapes in the backyards? I feel like they're always, anytime that somebody moves into a new house, there's always something going on. There's like some weird gradient.
You want to know why? I'll tell you why.
Yeah, why? Indian burial grounds?
These fucking trees are so goddamn big in Pennsylvania. Penn's Woods, he wasn't lying. These trees are insane. I had to get 5 trees taken down. It was way too much money. And then,
Who wasn't lying? William Penn?
yeah,
Okay.
Penn's Woods. But you know,
Can't tell a lie.
that's a different guy.
Yep.
But you know what? The other part is, because we're in like the White Marsh area, not to dox myself here.
Keep going.
Do you know what that means? Because I didn't put it together until it rained. I'm like, oh, White Marsh.
Yeah.
It is wet as shit. So my backyard, when it rains, turns into a gigantic swimming pool. You've seen it. It's a nightmare. That's why my side yard looks so nice. I built that patio, the walkways. I built my garden over there because my backyard's a lost cause. And that's why, because fuck Pennsylvania landscapes. I don't know what it is, but it's a goddamn disaster. I blame trees and water and seasons. And let's talk about seasons real quick, okay? Because when you get older, all right, when you get older, I start to understand. Seasons, I miss the seasons until the seasons get there because it's fucking cold. I'm miserable, okay? I'm miserable. And you started this by asking me about my backyard. So you know what? Fuck you.
Do you know what White Marsh used to look like?
I'm assuming a marsh. I don't know.
No, it looked like what Gollum took Frodo and Sam through in the Two Towers.
Okay, that makes
When they
more
wanted
sense.
to do a shortcut, they took them through that marsh, and there was all those dead people.
Okay, that makes a lot of
That's what
sense.
White Marsh used to look like. Yeah,
That's where the children's drawings in my basement came from. The marsh people.
that's where
All right.
Tolkien got it.
Okay, cool. Sick. All right, I'm glad we tied that all together. So we're in Middle Earth, and we are here to cover Southern Charm. Sorry for the rant. I've had a long day, and that felt nice.
Yeah, got to get it out.
I got to get it out. But
Better out than in, I always say.
yeah, okay, we're going to keep doing it. We're here to talk about Southern Charm. It's not my favorite season. It's not bad.
It has a weird feeling.
It's strange, isn't it? It's almost like you're watching a bunch of people move on from things.
Well, we said this in the past, but they've always been able to deliver. Now, obviously, there's a lot of Peter Pans down there. They reference it all the time. But it truly does feel like half of the cast is kind of moving on with their lives. I don't know if that's the reason why. It just felt weird. About halfway through this episode, I had an inner feeling that something's off. That it's not a bad season by any stretch.
No.
It's not an incredible season, but it's somewhere in the middle, and something about that isn't sitting well with me.
I feel like part of it could be the lack of events, maybe. And the events are so subdued. And
Maybe,
again,
yeah.
that's like the moving on in life kind of thing. We got the dog party, which was very calm.
We need one of those this season.
Right, we need one dog party a season. Everybody knows that. That's part of the rules. We got the hangout at Craig's, mellow. It just maybe because the drama is about friendships and not. I don't know. You're on to something there. Something is off. I'm not saying something's missing. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying any of that. But I agree. I think the best way to put it is something's just a little off with Southern Charm.
I think that maybe it's just that we don't really care for what's going on with Craig and Austen, because you can see both sides and you kind of understand it, and you just wish that they could just kind of put their heads together and figure it out. just
And
kind of like
kiss.
share their emotions, like hold hands, and then they could just share their feelings because neither of them is really discussing their feelings that well. But if you could hold hands and share it, you might be able to feel it better.
Should we have both of them on and do the pillow thing where it's like, all right, you hold the pillow
Yeah.
and you get to talk.
The feelings pillow.
And then when you're ready to talk, you'll get the pillow, but until you have the pillow, you can't talk. Because it does
No, we
genuinely.
have to pass around Bugs Bunny.
Oh, we can use Bugs Bunny as the pillow. We got to send them.
Everybody
a Bugs
knows
Bunny.
dudes love Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, as TJ from Potomac. But I don't. Yeah, maybe that's it because these two butt heads a lot, right? Like we've seen it season after season. It's a very brotherly relationship. I think a big part of it, I don't see a way forward, and that kind of freaks me out. Obviously, they're fine because they opened up, by the way, down in Charleston. So they must figure it out at some point. I would imagine Paige being out of the picture now, he'll probably look for more friendship with Austen.
Might go the other way and just lean further into work.
That would be sad. That's a bad way to go. I don't think he needs to do that. I think he needs
No.
friends right now. But my whole thing is watching these two bicker back and forth, and like you said, you can see both sides. I understand. It becomes even more clear this episode. Austin's kind of lost right now.
Yeah.
And I think he genuinely just wants his buddy back. Craig, and I don't want to put it on Paige. This is not like a Paige hate podcast by any means. Like they broke up.
She was at the Birds game.
I have feelings about that. I don't want to be that guy. We don't need bandwagon fans. I don't need a bandwagon
That's
fan.
the reason.
I
Yeah.
don't need a fucking
Okay, yeah.
bandwagon fan.
See, I don't care. She is 32, maybe-ish, single. Go do whatever the hell you want.
Fine.
I don't need to speculate on who you're with, what you're doing
Could
up there.
care less.
You're actually single.
Yes.
There was a post by Craig. There was a podcast by Paige talking about it. So you guys are broken up.
Agreed.
There's no cheating rumors. I don't give a shit.
Agreed.
If you're a bandwagon fan, I care.
I have a big problem with that.
She's at the game this Sunday. I got to figure out what that box is.
She went to Kyle Juszczyk's wife to get like the Eagles jacket and everything done up. Let us make this very clear to everybody. Again, as far as who she's dating or what she's doing, by all means, knock yourself
What
out.
you gotta do.
Do not care.
Yep.
Craig said you're broken up. You said you're broken up. You guys are fine. Do not care. We don't need bandwagon fans
Correct.
in our fandom.
Yep.
Okay, that's I knew you'd have the same set. The first thing, so many people send it to us in the DMs, and every time I'm like, ugh, I don't need a bandwagon fan here. So yeah,
From New York.
yeah, go cheer for the Jets or the Giants. I know they stink, but that's your fault for living there.
Deal with it.
Yeah, whatever, bandwagon. But yeah, I don't have an issue with her dating some guy there. It's simply the fact that now she's a quote unquote Eagles fan, and that bugs me. But whatever. Let's get to this episode. We start out right where we're talking about with Austen and Shep, and Taylor's got a birthday party on Friday, so everyone's getting ready to go to that. But Shep wasn't invited. Obviously, why would you be invited? I love his reasoning, though, when Austin's like, are you going to crash? He's like, no, I'm going to go to the concert and hang out with my buddies. They're the band. Nice.
I also love that he says, I don't even think that she would even really say hi to me or like give me a hug or anything.
If you crashed her party?
You invited her to get ice cream or coffee. That is way different than just saying hi at a party that you're mutuals.
The fact that he calls her and even asks her that, we're not Taylor's biggest fan, but I do not forget and will never forget the fact that Shep ruined her in that one season. I think that she gets a lot of shit because of last year and all the Austen stuff. I do think it's time for people to pull back a little bit. She made a mistake. How many people on these shows have fucked up, right? My problem with her is just that she doesn't deliver a whole lot.
Right.
That's my issue. As far as
It just seems a bit boring.
yeah, that's it. I don't have an issue with her as a person anymore. It is what it is.
She could be a central figure in this season now going forward.
That's what's going to be a little frustrating. And I don't know. I think it's wild that Shep continues to do this stuff, further proving that he hasn't changed at all. Why would you think that's appropriate? What do you have to talk about?
Well, the other weird thing, and this is another thing that came up a lot in this episode, Charleston is just like a very odd place.
Everyone bangs everybody.
Everybody hooks up with everybody's exes, and even going into Soho, which we watched, TJ and Michaels are talking, and they know people, and it's just the whole thing is just very weird.
Yeah.
Everybody's dating each other. Everybody has stories about somebody that they dated.
You can
who
say the
now
word.
Somebody else is
Say the
dating.
word.
It's very
incestuous.
incestuous.
Yeah.
It's very incestuous, and it's very bizarre to me. So I think the matter of it is, you get somebody who could be normal. Taylor could have been normal before she started dating Shep. And somebody like Shep, who was born and raised in Charleston, who just seems like, oh, yeah, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
He's probably like, oh, yeah, we can be friends still. It's like, no, that's not normal.
You don't have to do that.
No.
Yeah, and I think with Shep, it's more of a power thing. I think he needs
Yeah, I
to
think
get the
partially.
upper hand again. And he feels like because she blocked him, because she won't talk to him, he's not invited to parties.
Right.
she's creating boundaries.
Right.
That's healthy.
Mhm.
Whether you like her or not, she needs to move on with her life. Whether Gaston's a good dude or not, she needs to move on with her life. What she doesn't need is 40-year-old Shep hitting her up and saying, hey, do you want to get ice cream? No,
Yeah.
dude, she doesn't want to get ice cream with you. You fucking cheated on her a million times. You're a bad person. Leave this poor girl alone, okay?
She also needs to say that, though.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But it's
And,
hard.
and don't say, does your girlfriend feel okay about that? Like, that
No,
kind
I
of
think
like
that's
opens the door a little bit
See,
more.
I think that was a different move. I think that was a reminder. Hey, dickhead, you have a girlfriend. Why are you asking me to get ice cream?
Yeah.
I didn't
All
think
right.
that was
We
her
might disagree on that one.
with feelers. I think that was her
Yeah.
reminding him, like, this is inappropriate, and she's going to see
It was
this.
furthering the conversation, which I think you can't do.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree there.
Yeah, that's
but
fine. Who knows? Shep.
it's Shep.
We're not going to figure it out.
And don't really care to. But they're recapping the Craig conversation, and this is when it became blaringly obvious to me. Austen went into that conversation with good intentions.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about that last week, where it seems pretty obvious that this guy just misses his buddy, but Craig is taking everything with a little stank to it. He's assuming that hang out means drink or go to the bar or whatever. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's becoming more evident that he just wants his friend, because he's sitting there talking to Shep and he says, I'm trying to figure out where it went wrong.
Yeah.
And in this current place that Craig's in his life, he is not great at receiving constructive criticism. Granted, I'm not sure how I would take constructive criticism from a Austen type as well.
Right.
Like, we like Austen, but him trying to figure out his shit and
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
him giving him advice.
He also didn't use the right words. You can say things like, can you meet me halfway? I'm not going to force you to come to the bar, but maybe we could go do some like leisure activities.
Make a
It just
plan.
seems like there's like revisiting the conversation that we saw last week. And even in this conversation, I don't like Shep in this environment
No, it's
talking to
bad.
Austen, because Austen looks uncomfortable. Now it's on camera. He doesn't want to be the guy, even at Patricia's, he didn't want to be the guy that's really bashing Craig.
I will
He's
give him
just
that.
voicing his concerns. Now, obviously, he texted Madison, which we find out a little bit later. That's a bad move.
Awful.
Yeah, that's just stupid. But in this moment, I'm like, he just looks uncomfortable. He doesn't want to further this. He feels upset. Shep is using this to his advantage because he likes it. He likes when the two of them are at odds because he gets to be the mediator. And that's what he wants to be.
Well, as him with the mediator with Craig, I'm like, that's fine. Remind him of friendship.
Right.
When he's with Austen, he's talking about how shitty of a person Craig has become.
Correct.
Very different things. And like you said, you can tell Austen's trying his best to navigate this and not say something that's
Yeah.
going to show up on camera. And he really didn't,
He
other
didn't.
than he's lowering the bar for of expectations in this friendship. And honestly, dude,
I think
from
that's
what I've seen,
Craig told him to do.
Craig more or less told him to do that. And secondly, if I'm Austen, what more can you do at this point?
Yeah, he
You've
made a
had
lot
it.
of effort.
You did.
He even threw out non-drinking activities like going golfing, and he still said no.
Right.
So it's like, all right, you want me to come to your house
And
to
garden
sit
with
down.
you. And it's not
going to happen.
That's not fair. And I
Yeah.
think later on Rod talks about it. And he's like, there needs to be some kind of concession here. And that is friendship, especially when you get older. Life gets different. You have different priorities, different schedules. So to make time for people, you have to bend the knee at some point.
Mhm.
Austen's legit trying to just find a way forward. I think that it's also difficult for Austen to simply say, hey, man, what can I do? Or what can we do?
Right.
He can get to this point, but I feel like taking that next step of like planning is where they kind of hit that
Right.
roadblock.
You also have to assume that Craig's going to be defensive no matter what.
Right.
You should have known that going into it,
But it's
and then just kind of let that roll off and then continue the conversation.
Yeah.
That's why I said just jump in the pool.
that would have been funny.
Craig did say, do you want to just jump in the pool or leave? You could have just jumped in the
Jump
pool.
in the pool and then get up and be like,
It's
I'm
an icebreaker.
jump
Get in the pool, come back out, grab your towel, decompress a little bit, go grab, what do they keep, the Waterloos?
Waterloo. It's
Yeah.
like I assume it's
Do
kind
they
of like
have a
bubbly
sponsor with
or-
Waterloo now?
I would imagine.
It's every episode.
Yeah.
Grab a Waterloo.
Yeah. Remember like when Bubbly was doing their campaign? Love Bubbly, shout out Bubbly. They were featured in a lot of Summer House episodes and Broth Bros podcasts, and they will be
Hell yeah.
forever.
Right there.
We love our Bubbly Bros. But anyway, I think the end of the conversation is probably my favorite part because Shep's like, nothing lasts forever, man. Like, your friendships, maybe not, but like
no.
a lot of people have friends for life, but that's neither here nor there. And you get Taylor with her mom, Leslie, her bestie, and it's soft shell crab season. I had to write that down because fresh soft shell crab is one of the best things you can possibly eat. But they're catching up. It's her B-Day weekend, and she's getting ready for a party on the weekend. This scene was important because I forgot,
Mhm.
and that's fucked up. And it also, this is part of me saying I think it's time to pull back a little bit on the Taylor hatred and the Taylor train, only because I forgot how much he's going through.
Yeah.
And I forgot the fact that her brother passed away on the heels of all the shit with Austen, on the heels of all the shit with Shep. Like, she's had a pretty fucked up couple of years. She didn't do herself any favors. It's not a reprieve.
Can I make you feel better?
Yeah, sure.
I really wanted to just skip through it at first, and then I heard them start talking. I'm like, oh, okay, I can't skip through this.
So you feel like a piece of shit too.
Well, it's just, again, and look, I don't think that Taylor's really doing anything wrong. I do think that last year was pretty annoying.
Last year was tough.
But again, she was going through what she was, and at the time, I don't think she was going through the stuff with her brother, but she was being annoying. And I'm like, all right, she needs to figure it out if she's going to stay on the show. At the start of this year, I just question whether she needs to be on this show.
It's like watching
Maybe the
paint
answer is
dry.
putting her on Soho. It could be. We have to see how the whole Gaston thing works out, because I don't see that going well.
Well, that's fine. He can leave everything.
Yeah.
Kick him out of Charleston. There has to be rules in Charleston about exiling people.
I think we just covered the fact that there isn't rules to exile people.
There should be. There
That
should
could,
be.
That could solve a lot of issues.
Yeah, Whitney, you're gone.
Yeah.
Gaston, you're gone. T-Rav, you're gonna get burned at the stake. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
In the face. I
Gotta
hate
be an
him.
example.
Yeah, set an example with him. But they're just discussing navigating life ever since everything happened. We don't know a lot about him yet. So I'm not going to crucify the guy until there's reasons to be crucified, which will come in about 20 minutes.
Just about.
Just about 20 minutes. We'll check the timestamp when we get there, because in this moment, I'm like, all right, Mom signs off on Gaston. Mom calls Gaston to check in on Taylor. Gaston responds. We see the scene where she gets a little choked up at pickleball. He gives her a hug, comforts her. I'm like, okay. I don't see anything super negative yet. Yeah, he seems kind of douchey. I don't love the guy.
Why didn't they show that?
I don't know. Last week?
There's two moments now. It was last week, I think.
Yeah, when they were
They were
pickleballing.
playing pickleball, and I'm like, this is just a throwaway scene, just
Yeah.
to check in with Taylor.
That
Show that she
would
has a
have
boyfriend.
been-
Would have been nice to throw that at the end.
You would have done her favors as well.
You know what else maybe throw in? Vanita.
Yes, definitely Vanita with
Why
her
are we doing
boyfriend.
that again?
I feel so bad. She gets hosed. Like, and that's what sucks, because I think we said a couple times, like, well, we need more from Vanita. It's like, well, she's doing it. They're just not showing it.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen
They're
that.
doing
scene.
it as a recap to something that we haven't seen.
No, show that in the moment.
Yeah.
Watching her and her.
And then recap it. Give
Yeah.
it both ways.
Then we can talk about how she's doing this week. We're literally checking in with her this week about an event that happened last week
Yep.
that we could have seen in real time. Like her and Manny. It's Manny, right?
Yeah.
Is her boyfriend. Gets this thing on Broadway. We'll cover it in a minute. But like, that would have been a good scene for Vanita.
But instead, we're going to do JT and Vanita ad nauseum.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Who is this production company?
I don't know.
Like, what the
I
fuck?
don't know what else they cover.
That's such a misstep there. But let's keep going, because we get these scenes. These scenes are kind of sad, because you get Paige and Craig, and they're doing the house thing. She's making the bouquet. Taylor canceled the party, so they're inviting people over to the house to celebrate Craig donating his sperm. So this is more or less a jerk off party.
Yep.
But everyone's gonna have one or two of those. But it stings a little bit more when he makes the joke that it's not a joke. He is actually leaving Paige his sperm. I wonder if he's named somebody else since then. But her saying, "Is there a return policy?" I'm like, oh, that didn't age well.
Yeah.
That didn't age well at
Okay,
all.
we're going to continue to get more of these, too, through this and Summer House. So
I know. Oh God, that's right.
everybody's just, I love that that's your reaction every time I bring up Summer House, too, because it's almost like you block it out.
I do, because look, I mean, everybody in the Bravo sphere was rooting for these two. So watching these scenes are just sad. Like we said in the beginning, we don't like bandwagon fans, but I don't have any issues with Paige. These two broke up. Shit happens.
Yeah.
But she brings up Austen. I do not love her input on the Austen situation, because and obviously you're going to take Craig's side with everything, but it feels like she's adding fuel to the fire and just saying more so like, Austen needs to get his shit together. I don't understand what the fuck Austen's doing. And you can tell that she quite clearly feels a certain way about Austen. I don't think she likes Austen very much.
Yeah.
Which would probably add to some of the contention between Austen and Craig. I
can see
am
that.
not blaming Paige for their relationship.
No.
That would be bullshit. That's not fair to her. And I don't think she's in Craig's ear that much.
No.
I do think that she's adding a little bit of fuel to the fire, though.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, and she even says it a little bit later, that she loves when he gets aggravated and activated,
Yeah.
just because that is the type of person that Paige is.
Mhm.
She likes to talk shit,
Yeah.
and we see it with Madison later as well. I think that once Craig opens up and talks about what's going on with Austen, that's her cue to kind of feed into it. And I think she just does it naturally. I think that that's how she's going to do it. But I don't think that she really gets it. It's I don't know. I can see it in a supportive way, but maybe not. Maybe it's just talking shit. But you get to go back to New York and hang out with all of your friends. You get to go back and go on tour with Hannah, and you're probably still hanging out with Hannah. You're
they're
doing all
just
of these other
sitting
things.
courtside at the Knicks game.
You have a completely different show that you also get to go on where, yeah, some of those people are your friends. Again, you live in New York. You can probably see your friends whenever you want. I know that we see you all the time and you're just talking about staying at home, talking about staying at home. Now Craig's kind of turning into that, but you're not there all the time.
And he's isolated.
So he's filling his time with gardening, could be filling his time with hanging out with friends and gardening.
That's all we're saying.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the middle ground that Austin's trying to get to. He's just not very articulate with it. But we get to a scene with Madison and her mom, and they're FaceTiming about some of Brett's news. And we had heard that he had a spot on his kidney.
Yeah.
This week, it's a tumor on his kidney. We haven't heard any news. Have you heard any news?
No, still nothing really.
So
just Madison thanking support. But.
Yeah, we will not speculate on this kind of stuff ever. All we'll say is we hope that he's doing well. We hope that they get it figured out. Because we love Brett. We love Madison and Brett and their little family. But she's talking to her mom, and mom sympathizes. And what I took from this scene, because there's not a whole lot to say about it other than P's and T's for Brett.
It's also Madison's a hell of a housewife.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is what I
can't do Housewives of Charleston, but
you can't. No, because everybody.
If she ever moves.
She would be fantastic. And like that was what I took away from the scene because she's talked about stepping into this role, this new role where, all right, he's going off and fighting fires. I'm going to be a homemaker, take care of Hudson, make sure that the home's taken care of. And she's legit like picturesque Southern belle wife. She's sitting on the front porch swing with a big glass of homemade lemonade in a white dress playing the part.
She said she didn't make the lemonade.
She did claim to have made it and then said that she didn't make it. And then at the end of the conversation was like, I might need something stronger, to which I agree. Yeah. After that conversation, go pour a little vodka. Go pour a lot of vodka into that lemonade.
All right.
Just fill it up to you don't even need lemon.
Keep it together, pal.
Just fucking fill it up. But we get to Rod and Austen, and they're FaceTiming. And Rod's getting ready for Craig's party. I will say this. I like Rod this season. I like what we've had bits and pieces of him last season.
I think he was more of a friend of before, and now he's a full-time.
Is that what it is? Or is that the shift that was made? Oh, I'm liking what he's bringing to the show because he's fairly grounded. Like when he's talking about things, he doesn't get amped up too much. That being said, we have seen him get activated. Was that the reunion when he fucking went off out of nowhere?
He just went off out of nowhere. Maybe that landed him the job.
It could have, I guess. I don't know. That was not my favorite moment from him. But this I like. He brings a calming presence to some of this shit. He does seem like he gets caught in the middle of stuff.
I think that he's friends with everyone.
For the most part,
I don't think that there's anybody that could say anything bad about Rod. And I think that's a good position to be in versus somebody like Shep talking to Craig and Austen. There's just too much history there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there isn't history with Rod and the rest of them, but everybody seems to like him and have good feelings about him.
Right.
So if you're going to go to Rod with your problems, he's going to be able to see it both ways. And he's able to see this in both ways.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you want in a situation like this. And I hope that it continues.
And I think the best way to look at it is when he's talking to Craig, or Austen, I mean, he just asks, like, are you guys good?
Yeah.
And Austin's like, I really don't know. And, you know, he brings up the fact that you guys you're always like dueling brothers. Like, there's definitely a way through this. And Austen keeps reiterating over and over to everybody he's talking to, I thought that we were having a constructive conversation. But he's just a petty little bitch. And I'm like, you guys are just fucking brothers. Like, just get over this shit. Come together. Put your heads together. Figure it the fuck out.
Yep.
Because it's not that bad. I think it's just gotten blown out of proportion at this point. But you get to Craig's house, and it's the party set up. And I just wrote down, they're cute. They're just so cute, just bopping around the whole house together, and it's just so sad. It just gets sad, but I don't know if this backyard has like taken on a life of its own. I get it. I love his backyard.
Yeah.
I would never leave his backyard either. He wants everybody to be there and hang out with him in his yard all of the time.
Yeah.
If you want that to happen, you have to show up to other things too, to get people to come back and stay at your house.
Yeah. Hey, look, I get the excitement about the backyard. He spent a lot of time working on it. Spent a lot of time working on the house over the last 2 seasons that we've seen. Everything has come together. Everything's perfect. You want people there all the time.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Great.
But you have to see the other end of it.
Yeah, that's all it is.
How are you going to invite people? Like, I don't even see him, aside from calling Austen about doing a podcast.
Mm.
I don't really see him calling Austen to say, "Hey, you want to come over and watch the game?" He's probably just expecting that Austen, if he wants to hang out, would call him and say, "Hey, can I come over and watch the game?"
That's actually a good point. How many times has he extended the invite to do something at his house, or is he
If
expecting?
Austen was better at sharing and figuring out his feelings, he might have been able to say that yesterday.
I'd be interested to know what that looks like because why wouldn't? Yeah, that's a good point. Because Austen didn't even bring that up. That would have been an easy way to be like, dude, you don't call me and invite me over here. So what the fuck? Maybe he does.
Maybe he does.
I don't know. That's
don't know.
interesting. Or is it one of those moves because it's different? It's like, if Austen calls him and like, hey, we're going to the bar, and he's like, oh, why don't you guys just come here? You know what I mean?
Could be one of those.
And that's not the same thing because they already have plans, and now you're telling them to change their plans to come to your house.
Yeah,
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wonder if it's one of those moves.
He's not on house arrest.
No, but he makes it seem like he can't
I
leave his
know.
house. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I understand
Or
it.
is he on house arrest?
Oh, tinfoil hat.
Oh boy.
Maybe that's the
I
root
didn't
of
see
it.
any ankle monitors.
I didn't either, but he's also
Never
very
worked. Would he'd have to put like a bag on to get in the pool and stuff?
yeah, that's what we should focus on.
Yeah.
How do you swim with an
Look,
ankle
we
monitor?
don't have the answers to this because again, these two are incapable of actually asking important questions to give us the right context.
Well, here's a Craig and Austen contentious conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Austen delivers point. Craig gets defensive. Austen gets upset and insults. Craig gets further defensive, creates ultimatum. Austen, off-color comment, leaves.
Yeah. It happens pretty quickly too.
Yeah, and like that's usually the breakdown of these two, rather than constructive. Like that's the other part. Is like it's constructive conversation. Yes, it was. Craig did get defensive, but that's where one of them has to be like, how do we move forward? Then where do we hang out?
And unfortunately, it's not going to be Craig.
No,
Unless, for the life of me, I can't see this happening. Shep can get through to him
no, he can't.
to get him
Unless that.
to be the one to extend the olive branch and say, "Hey, can we figure this out?"
I mean, maybe, but it's just I don't understand how that would happen because Shep likes to incite violence when he's talking to Austen.
Yeah.
When he
It's
talks to
also just
Craig,
very funny to me that the last season we ended with Craig is probably not going to talk to Shep. Didn't really talk to Shep at all over the summer. Saw him in the first episode, had a really weird conversation where Shep basically blamed Austen and Craig for
his
him,
pitfalls.
for his shitty behavior. And now Craig's okay with Shep?
I think it's
What happened?
I think he's just the mediator, and I think that you have to film these scenes, right? But I don't think there's anything deeper than that there. I have no idea because Shep in the scene with Austen was like, "We're not even friends anymore," about Craig, and then later you get the scene with Craig and Austen or
They're
Craig
out.
and Shep.
They're not at Craig's house.
No, and they are out. That's an interesting drinking non-alcoholic beers.
I think that goes to say what you just said.
They're filming.
They're filming.
yeah, that was on the schedule. So
Yeah. The producers are like, "All right, we have to get out of this house."
yeah, we need a different backdrop, dude. Can you please put a shirt on and stop
Getting
gardening?
insane.
Yeah. So I think the more we see it as well, and maybe that's intentional by production, the more you see it, the more you're like, okay, yeah, I see where Austin's
Right.
coming from. He's not asking you to go out and play flip cup and do shots. And maybe Craig knows Austen better than we do. I mean, clearly he knows him better than we do. And maybe he knows what it turns into, and that's what he's afraid of. But if you want to grow your friendship as an adult, you got to make concessions, like Rod says. But
Sure do.
anyway, we're back at the party setup, and this all started because I said that Craig and Paige look cute together, but Molly arrives with a dick cake. As we know, Molly and Craig had a sexting thing,
Yep.
never in person.
Nope.
Just a little sex jewel. Got to do it. Do we see that in the future? Do you see that working? Because people have brought it up. A lot of people asking about it.
I don't care right now.
Okay, cool. This is fun.
Yeah,
This is a
it's
fun
just,
thing
no,
to do.
truly, it's just once you break down the reason that Craig and Paige were just so captivating was because everybody was rooting for them.
Yeah.
People liked both of them. Now that they're separated, they can go live their lives, and when something concrete comes along, I'll start to care again. I'm not in the space to care right now.
Is this carryover because you're so sick of speculating about whether or not they're going to get engaged and you don't want to
Probably.
continue
I mean,
to
look,
worry about
if
it?
I had to guess, Craig is very much looking to be a husband and father very soon. He's talking about his sperm a lot.
He's talking a lot of sperm talk.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was married in 2 years.
I wouldn't either. I think when
way
he
that this
does And Dev was saying this too. When he does get a girlfriend, I think it's going to move quick.
Yeah, it's going to move very quickly. And look, good for him. I hope that happens.
Yeah,
I'm not
whatever
going to
works.
speculate on him and Molly, though. It's too soon.
Or he's going to go, is BravoCon this year?
They haven't
2025,
announced
right?
it, but there's probably one, yeah.
Because we had the gap year last year,
Yeah.
and because of the election
Won't be
and
until
everything.
November.
Yeah. So he's either going to have a girlfriend or he's going to be the next captain. Who's
Jason.
Yeah, he's going to be Captain Jason at this BravoCon, like most eligible
Captain
bachelor.
Jason is hotter.
Captain Jason's smoking hot.
Yeah.
He's got the accent.
Yeah.
See, my accents are all fucked up since
Yeah,
we
you're
started the
Scottish.
Traders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's my favorite. I even saw on my fucking feed. You can't make this shit up. I'm scrolling through on TikTok and it popped up and it was how to do a proper Scottish accent and it was doing the O's and the E's.
It's your phone listening to you saying, "Yeah, it doesn't sound right. Let's try to teach him."
This is borderline offensive. This guy needs to get it together. That's
Was
what.
that on TikTok or did you download the other Chinese app?
Is there a new thing now? Oh no,
Red Page or something?
Red Page.
Yeah, something like that.
No, I didn't download
Yeah,
that.
okay.
I'm not going to download that.
Yeah.
There was speculation today that somebody might be buying TikTok that I don't want to talk about, but we'll see.
I think that's a smokescreen. I don't think that's going to happen.
We'll see. I have no idea. But, I guess we're moving over to YouTube Shorts. I don't know.
I think that's what people are saying. I don't think TikTok's actually going to get banned.
I do.
I've never thought that it's actually going to get banned.
We're
Something's
like
going to happen.
5 days away.
Yeah,
the
but
Supreme,
the Supreme
Court
Court could
doubled
just
down
say
yesterday.
no and then just continue it going. And then we'll have another hearing in 3 months, but we'll have TikTok for 3 months. I think it's just not going to happen.
I think you sound
Very
like every
wishful thinking. I
TikToker
spend a
out
lot
here.
of time on TikTok.
Yeah,
so.
you sound like
I don't want to find a new app to go through.
Why are you yelling at me? I'm not.
This is
banning
your
TikTok.
I
took down
was
TikTok.
ignoring all of that forever, and then you said no, it's literally going away, and I had to look it up. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
it's
no.
your fault.
It's not my fault. You just pick up your phone. I get news
You
alerts
need
all
to
the time.
stop going on Instagram and buying stuff off of Instagram because that's how we're getting data out there. There's data breaches, and it's your fault.
Off of what's the app that I use?
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Not
Where's your
TikTok.
data going?
Irrelevant.
Mhm.
Do I
You
get
ever buy anything off TikTok?
No, God no.
All right.
No. I do know people that have.
I do. Yeah.
You have, haven't you?
No.
Really?
No.
Yeah, I
Even
know people.
Instagram either.
But people have gotten it. Like they've gotten their shit. I've ordered things from Instagram and I have gotten boxes that have like 18 stamps and like all in Chinese and stuff, and it takes like 6 weeks to get here.
It's all right.
And you know what? People ask me about that stuff more. They're like, "Where'd you get that jacket?" I'm like, "I don't know what the website's called, and I think the profile got shut down, but I got my jacket and it's pretty sick."
Yep.
Where were we?
No clue.
Craig's party. Yeah.
Molly showed up.
Molly showed up. Wow, we're still at the beginning of Craig's party. Everyone's there at Craig's house except for Austen, and Rod brings it up to Craig, and he says, and this is something with Craig that kind of bothers me. When it comes to stuff like this, he acts so unbothered by it that it's almost disrespectful to his previous relationship with Austen because he's like, I haven't talked to him. And that's what happens every time. And you know what? I'm not going to grovel for his friendship. I'm like, I don't think it's groveling, dude. I think that it's just, I know we've like talked about this ad nauseum. It's just confusing to hear how they discuss it. But as they're talking about this whole thing, this is when Rod brings up the fact that, hey, you might need to, or he says it in confessional, but this is where he brings up you need to make concessions if you want to continue certain friendships. But as of right now, Craig's like, no, I'm not extending an olive branch. Fuck that. And I guess my question to you, and then we can move past this topic because we have talked about it plenty. What is the olive branch, and who do you think needs to take that first step, and who do you think will take that first step?
Well, I think Craig talking about it as soon as somebody shows up is kind of like a learned behavior
Okay.
because he's just assuming that everybody already knows what's going on. We've seen that before. It's always with Charleston. Everybody already knows it's a small community. It's a smaller show. Everybody starts to talk about everything that happened.
Mhm.
So I think that's what that is. It's going to have to be Austen that extends the olive branch. I just don't see Craig doing it.
I think Craig should be the one
I
to
think
do
Craig should be the one to do it to see, and he can look. He's going to do it under the guise of last ditch effort. Like again, ultimatum, Craig. This is what we're going to do. If it's Austen, then you can kind of have the conversation over again. But he needs to get his bearings first.
Mhm.
He needs to practice in front of a mirror. I don't
Sure.
know what he has to do, but you can't go into it the way that you did before because you got too rattled and then you insulted him.
Yes.
So can't do that. I think it's going to ultimately be Austen, but I agree with you that it probably
It should be Craig. I think Austen will end up doing it. But this is when we talk about Vanita. And actually interesting. We find out that Manny, her boyfriend, has had long dreams to be on Broadway, or he's a musician, right? So maybe he's in the orchestra on Broadway. I don't know. Maybe he's on Broadway. I have no idea. But you know what is pretty interesting? Hearing about this man wanting to be on Broadway, this dude that Vanita, a cast member of this show, is dating. We had no fucking clue until he's leaving.
Well, we did get them last year.
Just
last
talking about
season.
music and shit.
Yeah, just him talking about music and the fact that Vanita was very happy.
Yes.
That's what we got.
Why did we not check
And then he
back
went
in?
back to New York. And look, I get like if he's split living, going back and forth, whatever. We make time for Paige. Probably make time for Manny.
You
That
could
would be
make time
helpful
for Manny.
if you want to get Vanita involved more. It seems like they're filming these scenes and then just kind of throwing them in. Like, oh yeah, by the way, this is what Vanita's up to. And I don't like that.
I don't either. She seems like an afterthought, and I think that she brings enough to the show that we should give her a shot. She brings more than fucking Taylor.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So this all coming together on top of it all, and we heard that Vanita wasn't going to go to whatever event it was last week because she had
doggy
laryngitis.
event.
Was it the dog event? Yeah. So she pops back up, and now we're just like, oh, let's do a check-in with Vanita. Well, we filmed this scene 3 weeks ago where Manny's leaving, and she's heartbroken.
Sounds
There you go. Here's 30 seconds of that scene, and we're just going to move on. It's
What-
like that. It's not doing her service. I get it. Like if the Bravo producers or whoever's running this show looks at it and says, we just don't think that Vanita is that captivating, then just don't recast her. Why are we recasting her every year and you're filming these scenes that are pretty important to her as a person on the show and just not showing it to us until it's just a throwaway recap? Like, I don't get it.
I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, you're giving us scenes that you left on the cutting room floor as a throwaway that are captivating scenes. This is an interesting scene. Her talking to this man that she's been dating for an extended period of time. She clearly loves the guy. He's picking up and moving his whole life to New York City. She's also under the impression it's for 4 months. And then he reiterates, you keep saying 4 months. This is probably going to be longer. I'm like, this is all juicy shit.
Yeah.
And this would all help Vanita on the show and push her further as a cast member. And it's not that hard to put this scene in an episode last week or the week prior. Like, hey, what's Vanita up to?
Yeah.
Here you go. And then you follow up this episode and say, hey, how you holding up since Manny left? Rather than the entire cast finding out that day that Manny's leaving for New York. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think if you were to poll the audience that watches this show and has watched this show for years, or even just the years that Vanita was on it, everybody would say the same thing. I kind of like Vanita. I just don't know what she does on the show.
But it's
Clearly now,
Not
and
her
we
fault.
could have made that argument before, she's doing stuff. They're just choosing not to include her until she shows up at a party or a big social event. Or she just has like a one-off scene where she's sitting in her backyard with her dog.
we get a lot of those.
We get a ton of those. That's how we start every fucking episode, is everybody walking around in their backyard with their dogs.
Yep.
We need more. And I feel like this is an opportunity for somebody who I think, again, the audience would say that they like to connect to that person.
I agree.
To say, hey, we need more.
Or at least give her the
Instead,
chance to do more.
30 seconds, like you and I, because the way that we watch these shows, we're bitching about this.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But any average watchers just watching, and they might question it, but they're not going to be like, oh, wow, that would have been really nice to see. Maybe I could have connected with Vanita a little bit more. They're going to immediately forget
Yeah.
because we don't get enough screen time with her. So I don't understand what the plan is with Vanita.
You know what? Just because I can, I'm going to blame Whitney because he's a producer.
Yeah,
so
blame
fuck
Whitney.
Whitney. He's
It is
probably
Whitney's
keeping her
fault.
off the screen.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe, you know what? Here's what happened. Whitney probably came on to her. She shot him down. He's like, well, I'm cutting all your scenes.
But I'm keeping you on the show.
Yep. That's what I think. That's my theory now because fuck Whitney. Anywho, Vanita's visibly upset that Manny's headed out to New York to follow his dreams. And the sentence that she ends it with broke my heart. She's like, Broadway was his dream. It was always his dream. And I wasn't in those plans. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Brutal.
Yeah, that's a tough breakup. That's a really tough breakup. And she's rattled from it. So here's your chance, Bravo. Here's your chance. Let's check in with Vanita this week. How about that? Let's see how she's doing now that we know, and we'll build from there and give her a shot to be a cast member that we like.
No, we're just going to see her and JT out to breakfast recapping something that JT did probably.
and then her in her backyard with her dog.
Yeah.
Even though
And
we
then
have
some weird
scenes.
forced romance with JT.
Yeah, but we have scenes with her performing very well that we could watch, but we're not going to. We're going to shoehorn in JT, who gives a fuck
Every time.
because that's interesting. No, it's not. I'm livid about that whole thing, but whatever. Fuck Whitney. It's his fault. We get Madison, Sally, and Paige, and they're discussing Gaston. All right. Sally didn't get the invite to Taylor's, which that, kind of tracks. I don't know why you would get invited to Taylor's, but we're starting to get more information. We've been questioning how serious this 3-month thing was with Gaston.
Yeah.
Now we're getting answers. She said they said, I love you. So that's interesting. I also have to point out that she also has a history with Shep, so you're definitely not getting invited to Taylor's party.
Yeah.
But
I thought the 2-hour history with Shep was a little generous.
yeah, for
You know what I
him.
mean?
Well, I think the 2 hours is 2 minutes of sex and then an hour and 58 minutes of trying to get him out of the house. Remember?
Yeah.
Because he got in the Uber like flabbergasted. That
Maybe
she
an
kicked him
Uber
out.
back from the bar, which was about like a half an hour.
It's Charleston. How the fuck would an Uber take a half an hour?
Because there's traffic.
Traffic.
Have you ever
Looking for some
gotten from
chapstick.
Charleston to the Isle of Palms?
No.
About a half an hour.
No, I haven't. Oh,
Come on, dude.
come on, bro. Everybody fucking knows that.
Figure it out.
Oh, the Palm Uber? Yeah, 30 minutes. Every time. On the nose. Boop. Fuck you. But Madison, I think, kind of asks what we're all asking at home. It's like, what is it about this dude? What is it about Gaston that has him running through the group? And we get more information. All of this is doing is pulling out the info that we've desperately wanted. Was there overlap with Taylor? Guess what? Yes, there was. There was a little overlap between Sally and Taylor. That's interesting. And we find out that Gaston called Sally. And he had a little conversation with her that more or less ended with a Will Smith, keep my fucking name out of your mouth. Which is alarming, to say the least.
Yeah.
Inappropriate, to say more. I don't think Taylor would have loved the fact that you did that. And then it further points to, why was this party canceled? Is he getting a little sketchy? Is he trying to keep Taylor from finding out more? That's the vibe I get, because somebody even brings that up. Like, oh, do you think that he canceled the party? I'm like, he may have. He might be trying to play some
That happened a
defense.
little bit later when Rod was kind of discussing their relationship and what he's heard. One, I need some sort of one-off show where it's Paige and Madison sitting down with whoever's got some tea.
Oh, they could easily
This is
have
the
a
only
show.
way to get tea out of somebody.
Yeah.
They are just easy to talk to, and they want to know every
And
detail.
they ask the right questions.
They ask the right questions, and they're sitting there waiting for more, and they're able to come together to make some sort of formulated opinion that tells us what we think.
And it tracks pretty well.
Works perfectly.
Yeah, I think-
So I need that. I don't know in what media form, whether it's a podcast or something that Bravo's going to do. Like they do after shows for all the housewives
Bravo
shows.
should do this with them.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
do that with them and have them sit down with whoever the talk of the town is. We call it the talk of the town,
With-
and it's just the two of them. Well, I guess Paige isn't going to live in Charleston, so
Well, no, but they could
it's,
do it.
it's
Yeah,
a figurative town.
you could do it virtually.
But either way, yeah, that's the first thing that I need. Secondly, we are now getting some sort of idea of who Gaston is.
Yes,
Because you go back to the dog party, he wasn't there.
correct.
He was noticeably absent to the point that Taylor had to answer questions as to why he wasn't there. Then we find out that there's a history with Sally. And we're like, maybe he just thought it was uncomfortable. We don't want to jump to conclusions. But now we're hearing the party gets canceled.
Yep.
Sally was here.
Yep.
It's Charleston, very small town. We're going to keep saying that. And it gives Sally the opportunity to tell everybody else what kind of guy Gaston is. We said this before. If you don't want everybody to assume the worst about your boyfriend, you need to bring him around.
Correct.
Maybe Taylor doesn't have that kind of power. Maybe Gaston is saying, no, we're absolutely not going. No, I'm absolutely not going. No, we're definitely shutting this down. Now we're starting to get some sort of an idea of what kind of guy this is. We didn't really like him to begin with. We thought that there was a sketchy past. We heard enough about him hooking up with whoever. Now we kind of know.
It's starting to paint a picture of who this dude is, especially if he's calling somebody that he was involved with and telling her to keep my fucking name out of your mouth. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know in what world he thought that was a good call, especially when you're doing a reality TV show,
Yeah.
especially if you're trying to keep your name off the screen. That's only going to do the opposite.
With a new person on the show that wants to make a name for themselves.
Correct. Like, you're literally shooting yourself in the foot. So that kind of shows you the type of person he is. And like you said, we flagged him pretty quick, but we will always give time for things to transpire before we like lock down an opinion. I would say my opinion is firmly locked in at this point. He's a douchebag.
Yeah.
No surprise there, but it'll be interesting to watch it play out for sure. But you get Madison sitting with Rod, and they're talking about the party being canceled once again. And Madison tells Rod about the phone call, because we know that Rod, he was Team Taylor last year. That's actually what led to his blow up at the reunion. He's been on social media a bunch, supporting her during all of that bullshit. He's also friends with Gaston, or at least friendly with him because of the relationship. I'm not sure how far that relationship goes, but regardless, When he finds out the fact that Gaston actually called, he gets a little upset. He's like, well, that's inappropriate. And it's like, yes, you're correct. He should not be talking to Sally for any reason. And that is very inappropriate. So now you've got questions. And I think what Rod is good at, because he's kind of this neutral party, right? He's kind of the middle of the road. He's not afraid to get involved. So he will 100% take that information back to Taylor. I know what Taylor's going to do. She's going to deflect and just act like it's not a big deal and not talk about it and be like, no, me and Gaston are great. We're going to get married. I love him so much. That's what's going to happen. But I also think that Rod is somebody who appears to stand by his convictions. And I think that's going to piss him off. So I'm curious if he's going to call out Gaston or if he's going to put it on Taylor to do it and they get upset with her.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen one scene where the two of them sat together, being Rod and Taylor. So I think we might get another one of those scenes where he's letting her know what's going on. And however she decides to spin it is however she decides to spin it. I don't know if she's going to take the approach of not knowing that that happened and then it's going to be a bigger thing. I would appreciate that. If she knew about it and she didn't feel great about it, I would also appreciate that. Anything else, I'm not going to appreciate.
I think she's going to act like she knew about it regardless.
Yeah. Or she's going to spin it and say Sally actually called him. Which I just don't see that happening.
I hope that's not what happens.
I just don't see that being the truth at all. And we don't really know Sally, but hearing it come from her, who they've dated, we already know this, there's already a history. Hearing the way that she talked about it, I believe her.
I do too.
Happens. I just, it is what it is. I just don't know how Taylor's going to take it. And I don't see Rod going right to Gaston because I don't think they have enough of a history there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what their relationship is. It would be. And I think that what's going to happen is what you just said. He's going to talk to Taylor. I think Taylor's going to pretend like she knew the phone call happened so that she doesn't look stupid.
Right.
And we're going to get more of the same. But Madison's the one that brings up, do you think that Gaston canceled the party, or implies that Gaston canceled the party? If that's the case, again, she's not my favorite, but fucking run. Stop with these dudes that you keep picking up. These guys are the worst. But Madison, Paige, and Craig are rallied up in the kitchen. And again, she's like, at least an engagement, right, guys? And Craig's like, I mean, we basically are. I'm like, oh, fuck, man. But Madison asks about the boys and Craig and their relationship because she's been privy to both sides of the conversation. Now, I do question, and you've been a Southern charmer for far longer than I have. You know the cast a little bit better than I do. My question for you, does her bias against Austen, and I know they're fine now, they're cool, it's more of like a joking, like she kind of riffs on him and stuff like that. Do you think that clouds her during this conversation a little bit to be more anti-Austen?
No.
No?
Okay. No, not at all. I think that what clouds her judgment, and it's not even really that cloudy, it's very clear, is Austen texting her.
Okay.
After the party that we saw at Patricia's, where seemingly we came away from that conversation saying, well, fucking, of course, Whitney and Shep are going to start giving him shit and ribbing him while he's not there to defend himself and start talking about his business and whatever they're going to say. It didn't seem like Austen, it looked again that he was very uncomfortable talking about Craig.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to talk about Craig in a bad light. I didn't think that he was doing that, but the fact that he then texted Madison, who I trust implicitly, and said, I knew what you were trying to do. All she was trying to do was defend somebody who wasn't there to defend himself.
That's a good point.
And she even was somewhat bipartisan for some of it, but for the most part, she's just defending Craig.
And then letting him know.
Any good friend is going to do. And Madison is a very central character in all of these people's lives. She's able to basically just tell it how it is. And I think she does a very good job of that. I don't think there's any sort of weird animosity towards Austen that's going to make her say something to Craig and Paige that's going to set them off even more or anything like that. I think she's just sharing the information that she has.
Yeah.
Which we said this earlier in the episode. The fuck are you doing if you're Austen? Like,
yeah, dude, that was a tough
stay out of
move.
it, man. Like,
tough move.
You're actively staying out of it. Like, yes, we understand that you're frustrated. We understand that you want your buddy back and you're not doing a great job of voicing that. We get that. But stay out of it.
I know.
You don't need to go that extra mile and text Madison, who you should just be able to look at and say, yeah, like, she's defending Craig, whatever. I can't do that right now because I'm upset with him, but at least somebody is.
Yeah, and just stay quiet.
That's how you come away from that.
I agree, but I think that maybe it's self-conscious behavior where he's like, oh man, well, if I don't jump in, then Shep's not going to be my friend, and then Whitney's going to be my friend, and I'm going to have no friends.
Yeah.
He's got abandonment issues. I don't know.
Yeah, you see a lot of these people on this show in particular. They just want everybody to like them.
They just want friends.
Yeah,
they
just want friends. They're getting older, and some people are getting married, and that scares them.
And they just want friends. Yep, they're my friends. But what pissed me off was this comment. What grown man goes to another grown man's house crying? Like, whoa. All right, hold on.
Yeah.
If I need to go to my bro's house and voice some things that are on my mind and I get emotional because I care about him, that makes me more of a grown man. If I can accept my feelings and be vulnerable and drive to Shooter's house with a boombox over my head and say, hey, buddy, I miss you. We need to do more things together. That's my prerogative as a man. I do not want to be shamed for having emotions and feelings because I want to voice something to my friend who is also a man. So I hated that.
I thought it was a little sexist.
I didn't care for it.
Yeah,
I did not care
for it. You can't be in this now and where we are currently and say we want men to be more emotionally available.
Until they are, and then you're like, oh, pussy. It's like, what?
Wait, I have a pretty funny comment. It's not going to land well. Nobody's going to like this. But Paige, you're single now. You want an emotionally available guy, don't you? You don't want some guy who's just going to bottle up all of his emotions and not going to cry with his friends, right? You want some douchebag misogynist?
No.
That would suck.
We are in a different era for men.
Yep.
And that's part of this podcast is coming out and saying, you know what? We watch Bravo and reality TV and we fucking love it. And that doesn't make us any less masculine.
Nope.
Neither does driving to your buddy's house and having a cry because you miss him.
Yep. Paige, look, you want to go after a manly man? Go ahead.
Yeah.
But when he's not emotionally available to you, you can't come crying to us?
Yeah. When you need to have a conversation about what's next with the next one, he doesn't do it because he's emotionally unavailable. Then you're going to remember people like Austen driving over and having a little cry with his bro.
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
Shit. Glad we...
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll cry later about it. Anyway, it ends with Craig, and I think this is... I know for a fact if you and I were feuding and you recorded a solo episode, I'd be fucking livid. And I think
could you
that
imagine that?
if I did it to you, you'd be fucking livid. Like, that's a huge fuck you.
Yeah.
This is a sacred thing that we do together. We
No,
take
but
it
it
very
goes
seriously.
even further, too, because I don't know if you saw the scenes for next week, but Craig's talking about how
Buying him out.
How much money do I have to spend to get you to get out so I can just have pillows and beer by myself?
That's damning.
Yeah.
That's damning. And you bet they're better.
Tough look.
Bro, there needs to be a build up to that.
We don't know the ins and outs, though.
That's what I'm saying.
What's going on? We need more information from Austen now because Craig has talked about it. Craig talks about how Austen doesn't want to do it anymore. And look, I get it from both sides. It's become a big podcast. You're making a lot of money from it. Try to treat it somewhat seriously.
Absolutely.
But not too seriously. You want to goof around a little
There
bit,
needs
of
to be
course.
goofs.
But I think what happened is they keep showing that clip from 2020 where Austin's like rolling around and they're on Instagram Live or whatever.
That wasn't the podcast. That
wasn't
them.
the podcast. That was them. That was, our moment where we got into an argument about Housewives. We're
Correct.
like, wow, this would be a great podcast.
It was the
They were-
inception of the show.
Yeah, they were on Instagram Live, drunk and goofing around, and they're like, oh, a podcast could be fun. We got to do something. Now it's become something else. I think Austin still, he misses his buddy. He wants to go back to 2020 where he could just be drunk on Instagram Live. He needs to learn that it's more of something else. Craig also needs to understand you have to communicate with that and say, hey, don't be hungover on a Wednesday night when we're recording. Just to have some sort of schedule planned, that could work.
That's, if you're not watching YouTube, that's literally it. Craig's here. Super serious businessman. Austin's here. Peter Pan.
Yep.
There is a middle ground in which they both need to go to because they are both right and they are both wrong. And we love these guys and we want them to figure this out. And they have a great podcast together. We went and saw it live in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good at what they do. People listen to them. And look, boys, you love each other. You've been brothers forever. You got to get over this shit and come back to the middle. And it's so simple. Austen, take shit a little more seriously because Craig is in a different era right now. Craig, you can goof off a little bit, dude. And the perfect person to find that part of yourself again is Austen. And you know what? All you have to do, get in that fucking podcast room, get in the frog, bang out a few episodes, and remember why you did it. You know? And here's the thing, for you and I, this is a cautionary tale of what we do not want to become in the future.
Somebody has to get a frog.
Yeah, we need a frog so we can do our episode in there. Oh, you mean an actual frog? Or do you mean a front room over garage?
We need a mascot?
We do. We have one. Bugs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's TJ.
Yeah, thanks, TJ. Thanks, Cody. He's a handsome guy, though.
Yeah, can't deny that.
But let's finish this bad boy up because we get a very confusing conversation with Shep and Craig. And again, confusing only because up until this point, Shep made it kind of clear they don't really have a relationship. So now they're doing this. And I fucking love, actually, that Shep starts it out with one of those automatically generated iPhone videos where it's like, hey, man,
Look at all the good times
this
we
just
had.
popped up. Look at all the times we had together, traveling the world, traveling the country. And here's the thing. In my head, I'm like, actually, great move. Just look and remember some of the silly times you had. Great move, Shep.
Clunky as it is because it's Shep, it somehow worked.
It worked.
I expected Craig to shut him down immediately.
No.
Sitting there talking, as soon as he starts talking about Austen and he's talking about, remember all the good times that we had, I expected Craig to just stop him.
Be like, yeah, remember all the
Listen,
shitty times when he shows up doing
Watch
this?
the fucking video. He
Yeah.
sat there and watched the video and laughed a little bit. It's like, well, where was this when you were talking to Austen?
That's all. But my
You're
problem...
doing this with Shep, who you have an open problem with about how he handled last year, handled himself, and made you look.
That's my issue, though. Is
Now you're able to just sit there and laugh with him, but you can't sit and laugh with Austen? I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. And I think my issue also lies with Shep, because it's like, all right, well, you go to Austen with this video too and be like, hey, I know you guys are going through it now, but remember, Peter, remember, show him the phone and show. That would have been the move. Oh, man.
If you just showed both of them?
Group text and just send that video and then remove yourself from the group. And then let those two
You can't
sit
remove
in
yourself from a 3-person group. You have to add somebody back in.
Oh,
Add in JT.
no, see, you ruined it. You fucking ruined it.
Vanita to get her some more scenes.
Yeah, put Vanita in there and then send the video. But if Shep had approached, it's almost like he's fighting two different battles. Because on one hand, he's trying to remind Craig, hey, dude, this is the times we used to have. This is the times we used to have with Austen. Can't you guys find some way to move forward? If you echo that sentiment to Austen rather than get him gassed up about it, because that's what he does with Austen. He tries to flip him and say things like, nothing lasts forever. It's like, well, these are two very conflicting ideas. Because on one hand, you're telling Craig to move on and figure it out and become friends again. On the other hand, you're saying, Austen, move on and stop being friends. So, like, that's where Shep pisses me off.
Yeah.
Just show them both the video and bring this together.
This could have been a very good episode with Shep.
It could have.
If he started it off by saying, you guys are friends, just figure it out, and ended it with this.
Yeah, I agree. But the way that Shep communicates with Craig, I'm like, well, clearly you're capable of this. So it pissed me off even more he didn't do it with Austen.
Yeah.
But all I take away from it is like, it's kind of sweet, honestly. Like, and he goes to his confessional and he's like, I think it's kind of sweet that this man misses this other man so much that he's just trying to figure out a way back to him. That's Austen. And I agree. I'm like, I feel it. I can feel and I know you can too. When you're watching Austen talk about it, or even the way that he looks at Craig in those scenes, I'm like, this dude just wants to be your fucking friend. And you are being very difficult right now.
That's why I keep pointing out that every time that somebody's talking about Craig with Austen, he's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
He doesn't like it.
He doesn't like
He wants to just be friends.
But I would have a huge fucking issue, a massive issue, if I'm Austen and I'm watching this back or I hear from Shep that you're sitting there talking about the podcast. Yes, all right, fine. You're irritated because he's not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
He's hungover. He can't make in-person recording sessions, all of those things, whatever it might be, fine. Valid arguments, right? It is not okay to say that he shows up zannied out.
Yeah.
That's a very different thing than showing up because he's had too much to drink or not showing up because he's had too much to drink. Now you're talking about substances.
Yep.
Didn't care for that. Thought that was a really low blow. That was similar to me as like Kyle talking about, and I know it's a little different because of obviously Carl's past, but like bringing up the Coke thing, like he showed up to a meeting coked out. It's like, well, you're telling people, your audience, by the way, of Pillows and Beer, that he has showed up for recording sessions on Xanax.
Yeah.
That's a pretty shitty look for the both of you and also for your friend. And it was he did it so in passing that I was like, that's a big thing you just said. You just kind of like threw it out there willy-nilly.
Just threw it out there and Shep didn't really have a reaction to it. And also, I just feel like it escalated like crazy. Like if Austen had done something so terrible to Craig or was bashing him to all these different people and like, look, maybe he's just coming off of the heels of talking to Madison and hearing that Madison got a text from Austen saying like, I know what you're trying to do. But even that, like as weird of a move as that is, he's still not really bashing Craig.
No.
So I don't know why this is coming up now.
It's interesting, and it's a weird move.
jump.
Yeah, it's a big step. It's a big leap to that next step, and I think that's going to be a sticking point. It should be like Austen has a right to be pissed off about that. I thought that was kind of fucked up, but it ends with a text from JT, who knows? JT. There's too many TJs and JTs on these shows. JT texts Craig, asks him to get coffee to hash things out, move forward. I don't think that's going to go very well. Craig points out Austen's going to be pissed. But again, dude, when he says that, I'm like, well, then you clearly give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're worried about Austen having a reaction to you going to lunch with JT or getting coffee, then you still care about what Austen thinks, which means you still want to be friends with him, which means you need to get over yourself, stop saying mean things for a minute, and just move forward and meet him halfway so you guys can be fucking friends again.
Yeah. Also, I don't think Craig has any idea why JT wants to get coffee with him.
No clue.
And it's going to be a weird, I don't want to call it a rude awakening because it's JT and nothing is really that much, is that scary to begin with.
It's going to be an awake.
It's going to be weird.
It's going to be a light jostle to wake up. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
It's like the lowest setting on an alarm that you could possibly have. But either way, Austen, if I'm Austen, I'm not really going to care about that.
Mm-mm.
Why did you guys sit down? What happened? Like, what? He's not like excommunicado. He's just JT.
Nice, John Wick.
Yeah. Nobody really gives a shit about what JT's going to do or think at this point. Even Austen said that in the beginning of the season. I don't really care. Like, whatever. It's JT. Just let him go. He's going to bury himself anyway.
Oh, I know why.
Why?
He won't get coffee with Austen, but he'll get coffee with JT.
I don't think Austen really wants to get caught. Whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. It's just weird. The whole situation was weird with Craig and
The
Shep.
show's weird right
The
now.
show just feels off. I don't like it. And I think that if Craig and Austen can just be friends again, it might put us on the right path.
Wow, who would have thought that the rift between those two would have us feeling weird about Southern Charm?
Yeah, right?
It's still a good season. I'm still enjoying it. But yeah, I agree with you. That's a good way to put it. Something's awry.
Yeah.
But let's get to some questions.
From Keckles. That's your favorite one to say.
Mm-hmm.
Queccles.
Quickly.
Quicklies. We still haven't gotten. Maybe we have to check our DMs just to make sure that they haven't told us what to say.
Can you tap on it?
We've
Tap
asked.
on our profile.
We've done this before. It doesn't go anywhere.
Click message.
I'm
It should
going.
pop up.
No.
No?
There's nothing on here.
Yo,
Nope.
Queckles. Cake.
Keckles. I'm going with Keckles.
Okay.
Do you think Gaston is hiding or do you think Taylor is hiding him? Oh, wait. Underneath. It's pronounced Queckles. Queckles.
What? Queck L's.
Well, Queck-ELS.
Oh, so Queck L's. Okay. Queck. Fuck.
It's probably still Queckles.
How did you still confuse us when you broke it down?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Answer the question. Do you think that Gaston
We're
is hiding or do you think
stupid.
Taylor's hiding him?
I think we're dumb, first of all. It's probably a little bit of both, but I would imagine if he's calling up exes and saying, keep my name out of your fucking mouth, I would imagine he has a lot to say to Taylor about what they are and are not doing, which is upsetting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going with he's being controlling and probably driving that ship, and she's probably just bowing.
I agree with that. And that's kind of what we've seen from Taylor in the past. So, from Daria_PNG, why don't they introduce us to the new guy, Ryan? What's his purpose? I don't know.
He's just this.
We were told that Ryan's going to be there. We knew Dr. Eddie. He's just kind of there.
You just get these two super handsome dudes that are married, and we don't get to hear about them at all.
Yep.
They're both doctors, right? Or is it doctor lawyer?
Yeah, I think Ryan's a lawyer.
We're missing out on a lot this season.
I think so, yeah.
We need more of that. We need more Vanita. Like, fuck. It's off. It's all off.
From Alaria726, now that Craig is single, does his friendship with Austen and Shep go back to pre-Paige status?
No.
Not fully.
No, but I do think that it'll push him towards those guys a little bit more. And I don't even need him to be that tight with Shep. I do think that him and Austen need to be friends.
Yeah.
For our sake. For the sake of the show, apparently.
Weird question from Nicole Ernest. Why does everyone on Southern Charm constantly talk to their dogs? Do you not talk to your dog?
Oh, you hate dogs?
Yeah, what?
What a weird move.
Full conversations
Oh,
with
that
dogs.
dog hater. I talk to my dog every
I
day.
stop as soon as I walk in the door at Steele's. I stop and talk to his dog.
Yeah, for an extended period of time. Because my dog, unfortunately, loves Shooter.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because you have a mustache and he thinks you're a dog.
The
What?
only dog that I can think of that has a mustache is a Schnauzer.
Louis kind of, he's got like a goatee.
Yeah, he definitely has goatee energy.
He's got big. I always thought he was like, especially when he was younger, he sat so proper. I would do like a British voice for him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hello, I'm Lewis.
Oh, this is a funny one. From Zara Hills. How excited is Jesse Solomon about a single P? Probably very.
What would Jesse Solomon do? Try to get Paige, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't need to see that.
No,
Now
I
that
don't
you just
either.
said that out loud. I don't think
say
he's
this all
actually
the
going
time.
to.
With the single people on Summer House, just go have fun.
Stay single.
Stop shacking up.
Yeah.
Annoying.
If you haven't learned, just ask our boy West.
Yeah.
Because he's still on the shit list, I believe.
From Drew Sorelli, who are you and where is Olivia? Because the picture was Molly. Olivia should not be on the show.
Olivia should be on this show in lieu of Taylor if that's what we're doing.
Oh shit! No, I was thinking of Naomi. Sorry, that's on me.
Naomi
gone. Should not be on this show.
Agreed. Olivia.
Olivia, I guess she. We talked about it in the first episode. I'm pretty sure she moved
I think
out
she
of
moved
Charleston.
on from the show. But
She
no,
moved
she
out of
didn't get
Charleston.
invited. I saw something that she was not asked back.
Yeah, but I think she moved out of Charleston.
Was she asked to not come back first, or did she not get asked back and then moved?
I think she already moved, and she wanted to still be able to do some
Jessel
of it.
lives
and they were
in
like,
fucking
whatever.
Dallas, and she does Roni,
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Well, we don't talk about that show on this show.
the show that must not be named. Thou shalt not speak of it.
All right, we'll do one. All right, last one here. This one's a little more generalized, but I guess it works. From Miranda412, would you sell a house that your longtime ex helped you design and renovate?
Yeah, what? Absolutely.
I mean, look, if I put that, he's putting so much time into that garden, I don't think he's selling that house.
Oh, we're talking about Craig.
Yeah.
My brain went to, because, Shep talks about his house that he built.
I don't give a shit about Shep's house. He
That's
didn't put
good.
any energy into that.
No,
He
but
just had
that's-
somebody else build it, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
You get it? Your brain went to Shep.
because he talks about his house in this one. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Why not? No,
The
fuck
first
no.
scene.
Craig's house?
10 seconds.
No, you definitely need to redesign.
Yeah, there's got to be a redesign, but like,
And not like structural. You just
Yeah, not
need
selling,
to I would just say Charleston it up a little bit more, get some
Yeah.
pastels in there, just make it a little
invite
more.
Taylor over, get some fishnets.
No, don't invite. Oh God, he's gonna hook up with Taylor. It's gonna be
No,
it's gonna be an absolute
don't even put
nightmare.
that out there.
Everything's gonna implode.
Oh,
the show's
God,
gonna
that would be awful.
explode. That's not actually gonna happen.
No,
But
it's
yeah, I think that either you invite Taylor over to decorate in beach rental house
Mm-hmm.
theme, or just go a little bit more Charleston with it. But you definitely need some color in there to just zhuzh it up, post page, just
Zhuzh it up.
take your mind off it. Or you know what, dude, get a tent and stay in your backyard.
Yeah.
Great. Or I don't know if he has a pool house, but yeah, stay in the backyard
look
for a
like
while.
it, but yeah,
Stay. You can cook your food over that big propane pot you have.
Mhm.
That's you'll be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be okay.
it'll be all right.
He'll be all right. But yeah, that's wow, that was a lot longer than I thought it was. That's our Southern Charm recap. We have our Soho recap coming out shortly as well. I do see through Numbies and as well as chatter on social media as well, we get a lot of who's watching what from our questions.
Yeah.
A lot of Soho questions last week. So I'm excited that people are into it. Hopefully keep watching this week. Phenomenal episode. So make sure you check out our episode. And yeah, you got anything else?
Nope, I'll get here.
Well, Bravo Bros and shows are out of here. Can I
Later.
do that?
Yeah,
I don't fucking know. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
That's our show. Bros gotta go.